Hiya, thanks for joining us today. So as you said, we're going to discuss Business Voice within Microsoft Teams. And to be honest, what I'm going to do is just run through one of the customer pitch decks that's available to you on the MS Partner site for Business Voice. And they talk about calling made simple. So we all know that staying connected in real time is essential, and Microsoft Teams are bringing everything together from the old PBX, instant messaging, call forwarding. I mean, I won't read everything on this slide, but you get the point. So Microsoft Teams is a trusted leader in UC. So 200 million meetings, 75 million daily active users. I think actually some of these numbers are a little out of date now. Last count I heard, it was 150 million daily active users plus. So, I mean, we all know that the acceleration of people using Teams in the last sort of 12 to 18 months has really taken off. So Teams calling then with Microsoft 365 Business Voice, it's call in on any device, anywhere, all from within one familiar interface. So we all know that Teams is a core component now of your M365 license. So most users have got Teams already. They're using it for the everyday stuff, sharing files, chatting, etc. So we're just going to focus on the voice part and switching that on. So we're going to look at the product, we're going to look at licensing, some demos, and how your customers can get started. So let's have an overview of the product. So really what Microsoft have aimed to do with Business Voice is essentially make the calling simple. Within Microsoft Business Voice then, they've aimed to simplify communication, so bring it all into the one solution, so you call from anywhere on any device. More than anything, they've made it secure, reliable. And when they talk about rich calling, they're talking about the fact that you can move easily between devices and escalate a call into a meeting with a screen share, etc. And also, Microsoft have looked to streamline the management of it. So when we talk about making the calling simple with an all-in-one solution, we mean you can work smarter now because everything's in one place. Everything's all in the same app. You're not going off to a separate application to go outside of Teams and make your call and then have to record that call somewhere else, etc. You can quickly start a call from a chat, from a contact card. You can start a call from Outlook, from Teams, and then you can collaborate in the Office apps as well within calls and meetings. And I'm sure actually we've all kind of done this without thinking over the past year or so. We've just found ourselves doing it. So you can work across Teams and Outlook seamlessly, unify contacts, calendars, etc. So you know you stay connected with a single phone number. So that phone number is going to ring to all of your Teams clients, whether they be on your laptop, on your mobile, or even on desk phone if you want or have one. And then it's very easy to turn a chat or a call into a group meeting. You don't have to hang up and redial or go into a separate application to do that. And then you can add flexibility into your meetings as well with the dial-in phone number, so that's there in every meeting invite. And then you can choose from a range of personal shared devices, all built specifically for Teams. So with the secure, reliable, rich calling that Microsoft talks about, you're going to get features such as consultative transfer, music on hold, call park, as well as some really clever features like transcription. And there'll be more to come as they continue to develop at pace with the AI that sits behind Microsoft Teams. You can work with your team with a group call pickup or delegation, shared line appearance. So there's all these functionality features that I guess enterprise were used to with their traditional PBX, and now it's been brought into our everyday lives in the Teams application that we live in for everything else. You can use things like built-in auto attendance and call queues to connect to where you need to, leverage contact center software that's now certified for use in Teams as well to get reporting out of that and still work in the same single application that you spend your day working and living in. So all of that means that you can improve your uptime, built-in redundancy, and load balancing delivered from Microsoft's trusted cloud. I think trusted really being the key word there. Microsoft spend a lot of time and money on their security of their platform, so we know that it's reliable. So when it comes to streamlining then, I mean, you're going to save time and money, your end customers are, because you're just dealing with a single provider for all of the communications. And like for me personally, you're just dealing with one admin portal. Do you know what I mean? You've only got to go in one place to, first of all, configure and deploy everything, but then also to keep an eye on it, to report, troubleshoot, manage. You're just in one place, so you can monitor and resolve those performance issues with things like call analytics, call quality dashboard that Microsoft provides, all from that Teams admin portal. And then when it comes to actually making the calls, you can decide actually whether you're going to use Microsoft for everything, so they're your sole provider for telephony, or whether you're going to continue to use a legacy SIP trunk provider. So here we look at licensing and we see that Microsoft 365 Business Voice gives you your cloud-based phone system, your domestic calling plan, and your audio conferencing for actually £12 RRP per user per month. Sorry, it's in dollars. So the only conditions around adding this SKU are that you're adding it to an M365 plan that already includes Teams. So it is just an add-on rather than a completely standalone license. You've got to add it to the M365 base license. And your end customer must have no more than 300 seats. So you can offer your customers things like 30-day trials, which are free. They're going to get the cloud-based phone system, which means it just really turns on that dial pad. So they can use Teams as their phone system. And they're going to get their domestic calling plan, which is 1,200 domestic minutes in the UK. That is UK landline and UK mobile numbers as well, as long as they're standard numbers. So there'll always be like your 090, 0845, 0870 that are chargeable separately, as well as any international calls. Although you can get an international calling add-on if that's a requirement for your end customer. Those are the numbers we talked about that are always outside of any bundles that you get from anywhere are going to be paid for if you need to make those calls via communication credits. And those communication credits would also cover the cost of any 0800 numbers that you're using in your business, that your end customer is using. And we'll come on to communication credits a bit later on in a bit more detail. There are some customers that might want to use a telco provided calling plan, as they say here. Essentially, they might already have a carrier, like a contract with a phone company that they need to honour, but they still want to start using Teams for the actual PBX side of things. They want Teams to be the system that makes the call, so they get those productivity gains, so they make life easier for people who are working at home, etc. But they need to honour that phone contract to pay for those SIP trunks, those virtual lines and those minutes with, I don't know, BT or whoever it is. So in which case, they can purchase Business Voice without calling plan, which is available in over 70 countries. So Business Voice without calling plan then has an RRP for the end user of £7.50 per user per month. And as this slide shows, you get the cloud-based phone system, so you get to use Teams for your telephony, and you get audio conferencing, so you still get that dial-in number within your Teams meeting invite, so that anybody joining the meeting without internet can just ring in from their mobile or landline phone to an 0203 number. And then with that, you attach your third-party phone carrier, phone provider. And that's available in over 70 countries. And the same caveats apply, that you can only apply this add-on SKU to a plan that is M365 with Teams already, and that your end customer has no more than 300 seats. So some of you might be familiar with Enterprise Voice and wonder what's the difference then between Business Voice and Enterprise Voice. Well, all of the same features and functionality exist. So it's got to be getting on for 5 years ago now that Microsoft launched Voice in Teams and aimed it firmly at their enterprise customers. So it was formally a requirement of the Enterprise Voice that was the only thing available at one time, that you had an E3 license as a minimum, and then you would add one of sort of 3 or 4 different calling plans. Those calling plans are available for the enterprise in 10 markets, and they're all listed here, so I won't reel them all off. But essentially, the enterprise voice is not available on SMB plans, but there's no limit to the number of users, so you haven't got that 300 user cap. The availability without calling plan is wider. It's in 120 countries. It's just been around longer. However, for a lot of SMBs, that voice option was cost prohibitive because they might have only been using, well, when I started talking about this, it was Business Essentials back in the day. And so to upgrade everybody to an E3 license and then add the enterprise voice, it was, a chunk of cost for that business. So Business Voice sits on exactly the same platform. It still sits in the secure Azure data centers, and it's still using the Microsoft network, and it's still got all of the same features and functionality. Technically, it's the same product. However, it's been developed as a SKU for the small business market. So there's an SMB specific setup wizard to make it easy for customers to adopt and get going. There are SMB-specific calling rules. There's a cap on the number of users, so it's a 1 to 300 user SKU. But you can apply it to any M365 plan with Teams. There's limits to the availability of it. It's only available in the US, UK, and Canada. For the one with the calling plan included anyway, the 1,200-minute allowance that comes with it for your £12 RRP. But without calling plan, it's available in just over 70 countries now. Basically everywhere that audio conferencing is available, you can add the business voice without calling plan and then connect the appropriate telephone carrier to the back. So I thought we'd show you this little demo. So this is a little visual for you of the Getting Started wizard. So this is available to every SMB customer that's buying Business Voice. It literally is just such an easy walkthrough. Anybody that's familiar with Microsoft interfaces and portals will be able to manage this with little or no telephony background or knowledge, because it's in that familiar Microsoft interface and language, and it takes you through step by step. So you really can't go wrong with this. You can get up and running in just a few minutes with a phone number, employee numbers, call menus, greetings. It just takes you through all of those phases step by step. So it's very, very easy and quick to get up and running with Business Voice. Fairly honest with the processing times, to be fair. But yeah, this is exactly the kind of demo that I've been doing, I don't know, throughout the last maybe 18 months to various different end customers in all kinds of industries, to be honest. You'd be surprised the uptake of this, even pre-COVID, but now that everybody's gone home and started living in Teams and a bit of the fear of it has gone and kind of makes sense to switch this voice on, then seeing the sort of last step almost, because a lot of people I'm talking to have kind of got halfway to making the decision anyway. And then when they see how easy it is to go through these wizards and get up and running, it just makes absolute sense to people at the moment. So you can see that what we've done here is we've set up the company number, we've made sure that the employees all have phone numbers. And, you know, you might think, well, a lot of the customers that you're going to talk to now about voice will already have phone numbers and will want to ensure that they retain those. And that's absolutely possible. Microsoft is Ofcom regulated in the UK as a telco provider, the same as every other that you and your customers would engage with. And so porting is a regulated process, very simple, and again, this is all documented on the site, and it's a step-by-step process when you place that porting order, and Microsoft manage it at the back end for you. So they take you through a wizard to input the information that they need in order to transfer any existing business numbers, and then they get on with it, essentially. But yeah, now already I've talked too much and we're through the getting started wizard because we've chosen the greeting and we've set all the rules to answer calls. So we've said like where the calls are going to go, who's going to answer them, whether it's going to be a specific person or a group, or you just enter the info there and off it goes. And because it's it's Teams and it's part of Office 365, then those groups appear here as an option as well. So if you've already created your Office 365 groups, they're available within Teams and Business Voice to set up as groups of people that will answer certain calls. Honestly, I think if I can grasp this, anyone can. It's really straightforward. There we go, nice little summary page just telling us what we've done. There we go, setup complete. This is another standard sort of demo. People want to see it work. They're like, well, what's it going to do? Well, it's going to be your phone. So we just saw you can dial any phone number from that dial pad that gets switched on in Teams. And, that interface will otherwise be familiar. We've all made calls through it to our peers and colleagues, Teams to Teams. But when you activate the Business Voice license, then you get this dial pad. So, again, we'll see you just dial any phone number you want. Typically, I'm dialing somebody's mobile number who's at the other end, and then it rings, they answer, and it's a bit underwhelming, actually. It's just a phone. But, I mean, it's cool, right? So another sort of key part of the demo is transferring a call. So we can see the calls coming in here. And then you want to go more actions, choose to transfer the call, and then you just type in the name of who you're transferring it to. And if they're one of your frequent contacts, they'll be in that list there anyway. And then that's it. There's two options for transfer. There's a blind transfer, which we just saw then, where you just literally go transfer and send the call to the person of choice. Or you can be a bit nicer to your colleagues and you could do a consultative transfer. And that's where you're letting the user know I've got this call for you. I'm going to send it through. So here we go, little demo of the consultative transfer. A little bit more polite, maybe. No, but seriously, some people might not be in a position to take a call. They might be about to walk away from the desk, or they might be about to join another meeting. So they might have a legitimate reason to say, well, actually, don't put it through now. So, yeah, not a bad idea, consultative transfer. So shared line appearance, this is something that people go, oh, what's that? And Teams enables people to share their phone line with their delegates. So you can essentially make and receive calls on behalf of somebody else in your organization. So we can see here on this screen that when your phone rings, it will say that it's a call for the colleague that you're sharing the line with. And so you know you can answer it in the right way. And likewise, you can make calls on their behalf. So here we're seeing this delegation in action. So we're seeing that Adele's made Alex a delegate, and then Alex is going to answer and make calls on her behalf. So there is accepting a call on behalf of Adele. Call Park is another key feature, I think. Any one of your users can park a call for anyone else. So it's like putting someone in hold, except for you're putting them in a parking slot. So in this case, putting them in call park slot 11. And then you message the appropriate person, there's a call in slot 11 for you. And then you can go and get on with the rest of your day, and they can go pick that up as soon as they can. So actually, anyone else in the organisation can pick up the park call from the speed dial menu. As I just saw there, hit the button for park calls, type in the slot that you're picking it up from, and the call will come through to your phone. We've also got options for a group call pickup. So users can actually set up a call group, and then group members will get notified. I mean, they can control the notifications, and then they can answer calls on behalf of each other. So see, we're going into call settings. Adding the users to the group. Then deciding how it's going to ring. And there we go. Group created. We've got some case studies and getting started for you. So we love a Forrester study. So they reckon that an hour a week is the average time saved by the end user, the employee at the desk. And they reckon that equates to $64,000 in cost savings over 3 years. 50% less support don't look great at the outset, but actually what they mean is you'll spend less time supporting the telephony once it's in Teams. And they reckon there's a 3-month payback after go live. Now, they're not taking into account the licensing because they're assuming that you've got a Microsoft M365 license anyway. They're just looking at phones v phones, if you like, so the benefits of moving the legacy PBX into Teams. There's a little case study here as well from Boston Servers Storage Solutions. And I guess the crux of it is they're saying that because Teams was a familiar platform to everybody, switching the voice on was a quick way to achieve productivity gains, essentially. So remember I said this is a Microsoft pitch deck, so this is available for you to download. So at the end of every pitch deck, you want those call to action. So the Microsoft ones ask you to get your customer to do a demo, try for 30 days, and then learn more by visiting the product web pages, etc. And because this is your presentation to go out to your end customers with, there's room for your partner logo and your contact info at the back of the presentation there. So I know you thought it was all over right, but actually there's an appendix to this presentation. I'm just going to go dead quick because there's some really useful slides in here I would definitely use. So this one just literally names all of the bits and bobs that they've added and when. So it shows you how far it's come as a product, it shows you how comprehensive it is in terms of feature set, and it shows you how quickly they're developing. So quite useful for some customers anyway. This one's a good visual, especially for maybe a CTO you present to a more technical audience because it's a familiar format for them. So it shows you how you've got Teams, PBX phone system, PSTN dial tone as your calling plan, and your direct routing in Teams, where you're using your existing telco carrier. And it gives you a summary of that there as well. Nice little explanation slide. Again, this one just presents it in a different way. So literally tells them replace your traditional PBX, put Microsoft in there, talks about how you can unify the two so you can actually reduce reliance on your on-premise hardware, eliminate points of failure, just, puts the point across in a slightly different way. You'll know your customers better than anybody else, and so if this slide is what's going to communicate it, switch it for one of the others, Likewise, I've used this slide a number of times and it's always a popular one because it just lists out all of those things that people want to see. They want to be sure that they've got things like call hold, call forward, and on the admin side, you want to know that it's got Exchange calendar call routing, you've got emergency location-based routing. These are the questions people ask, so to just fire it up there on a slide while you're talking about other stuff is quite useful in a lot of cases. And again, like this isn't said anywhere else in the earlier deck we've looked at about the rapid provisioning, about the number porting, about local long distance international stuff. There's no visual of the geographies. So, use it or not, I think it's useful to know that it's here. Now this one again, if you need to look like you're talking a bit more technically about the direct routing thing in your presentation to your customer, then you've got a slide to help you do that here. And I think actually in the early days, from my own understanding, this helped me to know what they meant by that phrase of direct routing in Microsoft. Audio conferencing, we kind of know about. I might lose this one or not putting that in. Obviously the setup wizard we've been through, so I don't know if we need to include this again. This might be a useful one in some cases though, just a reference to the Teams Admin Center, the fact that the complexity of managing your PBX in Teams is greatly reduced by the fact that you're in the same admin center that you're in anyway, because you're using Teams all day, every day, and managing users in there. This one's definitely a winner for me. I'm always asked to demonstrate auto-attendant and call queues, and it just is exactly this screen that you've got here, only normally I'm sharing it on a Teams meeting while I'm going through it. So this one I would definitely include in the presentation. It's really useful. The same with this communication credit slide. I mean, this is key. They're a way to pay for voice services that are not included. And what we're talking about is, again, 090, 0870 numbers. Your customer goes into their billing portal with their company credit card and selects a predefined amount of credit, a bit like buying a top-up for a pay-as-you-go mobile phone. You know, you're buying airtime up front, and then it's getting reduced with every call that you make that's chargeable. You can set up email alerts so that people in the organisation will get notification when that's running low, and they can top it up again so that the calls can always be made. This slide I definitely use in the presentation. The call quality dashboard is fantastic for just giving them some insights into what's happening and help the help IT essentially just manage the network, optimize it for calling, and you know, you can integrate this with all kinds of stuff. You know, with all the Power BI that's going on in Microsoft at the minute. So yeah, really useful on this. Likewise, call analytics, they can have a look at the quality of the calls that are being made in Teams. They can make sure that, you know, everything's working the way it should. It's all balanced. It's all up and running. And, you know, you've got access to all of the information here in a really nice visual. So this direct routing and SBC sort of overview little demo slides you might want to add to your deck, because there will be customers that need direct routing, and that's the bit where you add your existing telco carrier to Microsoft. So you're using Microsoft for making the calls, and you're using your phone provider for the actual connectivity of it. So this just takes you through quickly how you would set it all up, essentially, as an overview. So you're looking at the admin portal there and how to get it done. Now, with that said, if this is too much for your customer, by all means take it out. And maybe you're not from the voice world yourselves. Maybe you've been operating in you know, different technology stack is what you built your business on. And so we've got engineers that can do all this stuff for you. So don't worry about it too much. And you'll hear from one of my colleagues later on, actually, from that team of engineers that live and breathe this stuff. So we can definitely sort of take the weight out of it for you if this is something that you need that looks a bit complex for where you are today. I should add, though, if this is something that you want to see more of and learn more about, we're going to be running a technical boot camp, which will cover this stuff in a lot more depth. So, yeah, do look out for that. Now this one just, again, visualizes the global Azure cloud and media delivery network. So I'm often asked by telecoms people, actually, well, what's the network like? You know, how many POPs have they got globally? Well, that's what the network's like. There's quite a bit going on there. It's quite resilient. You know, you've got 54 regions, 90 plus compliance standards, 130 plus. I don't need to read it all off to you, but I just find it phenomenal. You know, second to none. And yeah, another slide here on the Microsoft network on, you know, where the data centers are, how resilient the network is, how it's all built up. So it might be something that's worthwhile saying to, depending on the end user that you're in front of, you know. I mean, to be honest, I might lose this one. We've covered a lot of this off earlier on. Again, it just talks about, you know, work like you're in the same room with Microsoft Teams rooms, and it shows you that it's the same interface that you used to everywhere else on your meeting room kit. You've got some slides here as well on Teams rooms, because that's the thing, right? If organizations are going to go to switch on business voice, so they've got their telephony in Teams, of course, when they get back in the office and not scared of video anymore because we've all been doing it from the kitchen table, then they want to do a really good business grade meeting in that boardroom or just in that little meeting room. They want to be able to still connect with those people that aren't in the office today, using Teams and using a really good meeting room device. So it's pertinent to ask people about what they're doing with the meeting rooms in the offices, because we will be going back in some capacity at some point, and lots of businesses are planning for that now. So it's definitely worth a conversation. So I'd be putting this slide into the deck for sure. I think this is a really relevant slide as well. You know, when we see the amount of VoIP providers that are suffering what they call toll fraud, where the systems are hacked into and companies run up phone bills that need to be paid by someone, it gets a bit messy. And then when you see some of the cloud video providers that have had security breaches, causing them issues. And then you look at Microsoft and you look at how much security and compliance is built in, not just to them sort of protecting you from outsiders infiltrating, but actually making sure that you're compliant in your customers are compliant in their own sort of line of work, that they've got the right retention and deletion policies for chats and channels, and that they're preventing the data leakage with data loss prevention. You know, sensitivity labels, all of that. You're operating within a Microsoft world, so it's worth including that. This is another big deal. Like, I'd be putting this in any presentation, the Teams devices showcase, because what you're saying to people is, look, we want to do something new, and we want to show you how Teams is going to work as your phone system, so you won't need that age-old plastic thing on the desk anymore. Some people might want that, they might like that, and they can still have a phone on the desk for Teams if they want and need. Likewise, they can have a headset, but, you know, are they best to use one that came in a box with a little Android mobile phone that they got once upon a time, or are they best to go and buy a Teams certified headset for their business users? And you know, it's only those certified devices that are going to optimize the experience and give you that business grade quality in calling. So what we do with Teams devices is we've got an absolute ton of them at our disposal. So we can do a device showcase for you. And whether that's around personal devices like phones, headsets, speakerphones, etc., or whether it is the shared devices in the meeting rooms like the conference phones and the video cameras that link to the screen. So here's just some of our product portfolio. I mean, we were looking at doing something specific for education. So we built these slides for some of our education resellers, whereby we've taken different styles of headsets from Poly, and we've said that, you know, you might want to buy that up front, you might want to buy a license, you might want to pay for some professional services to get it all set up and supported, then you might want to finance it. So for £34.50 a month, you've got a headset with all your licensing and setup and support for 3 years. Off you go. And then we did the same for our friends at Jabra, because we've got a few different vendors on the books, and the principles are the same, you know. Whatever components you need to sell, be it base license, voice add-on, professional services, you know, in-life support of the devices and the environment, and you can finance any or all of it and offer your customers a you know, really robust and good solution. And they don't have to be education customers just because this slide is education specific. You know, we could dress this up for all the different verticals or none. And obviously this one just shows the different handsets. This one's some bundles we put together, so for a complete kit. So this might be a complete work from home kit where you've got a laptop, a headset and a speakerphone. And then we looked at the rooms, so we've got MTR for Windows from Poly, so for the small, medium and large rooms. And again, we've got all the installation services around that. We've got all the support services around that. And then, you know, you can finance that with us on any duration that you want, or either you or the end customer can take the finance, to be honest. It's however you want to spin it. And then we did some bundles with these collaboration bars and screens. And then here our friends at Jabra created us some bundles with their Panacast 4K camera and Speak for the huddle room. So, you know, we can put together all kinds of different solutions for all kinds of different companies. And I think the key thing that I would say is, if you need us to do these device showcases, then we've got access to a lot of this kit from the vendors so that we can do, at the moment, remote demos. In the future, if we ever get back to normal, then we can go back to doing events and demos at site with you for the right opportunity, you know, and in the right location. So I would say just talk to us. Talk to your Ingram account manager about your requirement for product demo, about your product discussions. You know, if you need some help in that consultative call as to establishing which device is going to work best for your customer in their situation, then we're absolutely on hand to assist you with that. And then we've got all of the services that you're going to hear about in relation to getting these devices deployed and installed and managed. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kevin Lloyd. I'm the UCC Practice Lead at CommsCare. I'm going to talk today about the services we have available that partners can use to help them build a Microsoft Teams business voice practice or solution, and how those services can be used to help a partner construct a Microsoft Teams proposition to take out to their end users. CommsCare was formed in 2002. We always have had and always will have a 100% channel-only model. We'll only ever engage a customer via a partner, never direct. We started initially as a break-fix company around comms equipment, which led on to professional services and the addition of other vendors and technologies. We led us to achieving Cisco Gold Partner status around 12 years ago. And then we've continued to expand and build upon the services portfolio up until about 7 years ago, when we expanded the Microsoft side of the business by purchasing a Microsoft specialized services company. Since then, we've gone from strength to strength in the Microsoft space, and we've continued to enhance and build upon our service offerings to bring in managed services and expand vendor accreditation with the likes of VMware audio codes. We then bought out by Ingram Micro about 5 years ago and are 100% owned by Ingram. We hold multiple ISO certifications around information security, business continuity, IT service management, environment, and quality management, which further just showcases our abilities and expertise and credibility that we can provide on behalf of our partners. We're happy to white label services, but it's much more common nowadays that partners will introduce us as one of their service partners, as in a lot of instances through our vendor partnerships, vendor certification and ISO certification, and just industry experience and recognition. We bring credibility alongside the partner to the customer. CommsCare has a strong relationship with Microsoft and a history of delivering successful projects and solutions using Microsoft technologies. We've got an aligned UK partner technology strategist, and we're also backed by Microsoft Premier support. We've got over 25 MCSE and expert level certifications among the consultants. That's led us to achieving 15 gold certifications and 2 silver with Microsoft, as well as being one of only 8 Microsoft partners in the UK to hold the Microsoft Teams Advanced Specialization for calling. We've got a number of certifications and approval that allow us to deliver Microsoft-backed services, including being Microsoft Fast Track Ready partner, again, one of only 25 in the UK. We can also provide Microsoft consultant services as well as deployment planning services, which allow us to deliver engagements on behalf of partners. Comscore have a dedicated pre-sales team who are there to engage with the partners and can provide resource to assist with scoping out any Microsoft 365 Business Voice requirement, whether that's simply providing engineering pricing, to scheduling resource to assist with engaging with the end customer and work cooperatively to assess the customer's needs and build out a full solution. We're approved to deliver Microsoft Cloud Accelerator workshops, and while these are largely aimed at bigger organizations, there are instances where customers will qualify in the sub 300 user range for business voice opportunities. These Microsoft-backed workshops will provide a resource from Comscore to deliver workshops around calling and meetings to the end customer with a view to demonstrating the benefit of a Microsoft 365 Business Voice solution and assessing how the solution would meet the customer requirements. At Comscore, we've built a number of package services around Microsoft Teams that a partner can utilize as required to complement their own services and solutions or to enhance their portfolio with additional capabilities that Comscore can bring to the table. Our Teams professional services packages include price per user network assessment and Teams deployment. Both packages have a minimum of 5 users, all delivered remotely. For the network assessment piece, we'll look at high-level network topology, identify internet breakout sizes, work with the customer to build out the user personas and provide calculations based on that to identify at a high level if or where issues may occur in the network. We'll also run network assessment tool to test connectivity to the tenant and provide estimates of expected call quality. For Teams deployment, we'll work with the end user, ascertain all the configuration requirements needed for the Teams voice deployment before feeding those into a document for approval before deploying against the agreed configuration and then testing the environment to make sure it satisfies the customer requirements. We've also got price per device deployment for handsets, headsets, conference phones with minimum order quantity of 20. We'll go to the customer site, install the new devices where required, patch them to the data points and remove all the packaging to a customer required location. For those requiring direct routing with Business Voice, we've got packaged SBC deployment services for connection to a SIP trunk Microsoft Teams with options for both physical and virtual devices. Where physical SBCs are required, we can provide site survey to assess the suitability and any prerequisites that's going to be needed for the environment. We also have Teams meeting room services where we can provide a site survey and installation of predefined Teams meeting room hardware bundles from either Logitech, Poly, all available from Ingram Micro. We provide survey of the room where the kit will be installed to provide advice and list out any prerequisites for the environment, just in readiness for the room system to be physically installed. The packages are available to fit any size of room from huddle space right up to a large meeting room or boardroom environment. To complement that service, we also have a price per meeting room configuration for the back-end Teams admin setup within the customer environment. We've got training and adoption services available for Microsoft Teams. The adoption service will assist customers with assessing the customer communication strategy for promoting Teams to the user base, how to get them to really buy into the change and uptake the new system. Our adoption specialist will assess customer training requirements, help plan and schedule the required training, or with a view to enabling a successful rollout with high-end user adoption and satisfaction. On-site and remote Teams power user and end user training options are available. Power user training will differ from the end user training in that it will include more in-depth focus on features and options and how to present those to others, while the end user training focuses solely on the end user experience of all the core features and uses of the Microsoft Teams client, including call-in requirements where appropriate. And we've also got remote bite-sized training options available to cover the Teams call-in features for up to 10 users in 60-minute sessions. We've got floor walking services which provide a resource available during the early stages of adoption for customers with Teams when it first goes live. The resource will support the user base with all the features and usage questions, leaving the support resource available for any admin technical requirements. And we've also got customized videos which are available for a customer who want access to training videos on Teams functionality on demand. They can get access to store them on their own internal system, allowing users to dip in and out of the videos as and when required. CommsCare has multiple support options available to cater for any element of a Microsoft Teams Business Voice solution, right from simplistic break fix of hardware right up to full managed service of the Teams environment. We've got options available starting with hardware replacement. We can support handsets, headsets, conference phones and room devices, multiple options for coverage and SLAs. We start with 8x6, 5 days a week, up to 24/7, 365 days a year, with variable SLAs from just advanced hardware replacement right up to 4-hour fix on most devices. Microsoft Teams support is available to cater for end user support on Teams features and functionality, with management of any escalation to Microsoft within the tenant. Customers also get the benefit of the CommsCare Premium Cloud support from Microsoft for any further escalation of issues that's required beyond the generic tenant level support. We've got full managed services available which build on the end user support option to incorporate all the tenant adds, moves and changes, as well as ad hoc reports from the tenant on request and quarterly service and config reviews. All support and managed service options are available with 8x6 and 24/7 coverage. 3 options are available for the support and Microsoft Teams to cover either just collaboration, just voice, or both added together for the full Teams functionality. We've also got SBC managed service options which are available for customers who require an SBC for direct routing. We'll fully manage either audio codes or ribbon device to provide monitoring and incident management as well as resolution. And we also include a number of resource units. The resource units are units of engineering time that can be used against any adds, moves or changes within the SBC environment. We can also assist with any bespoke requirement around Microsoft Teams. We can assist right from the start with the pre-sales and build out the solution to full customer requirement. We've got a proven framework of delivering Microsoft professional services projects, which includes a phased approach that cover the assessment and envisioning of the solution, the design, deployment, and then the adoption of those services by the end users. Can also assist with any third-party solution required to build out a complete Teams option, including analog, contact center, call recording, integrating DECT into the solution, attendant consoles, all those extra bits that may be required to provide a full telephony solution for a customer. We can also assist with the integration and migration from an on-premises system into Microsoft Teams. We've got a strong history and knowledge of other phone systems that may be beneficial as customers migrate. I've covered the services we can provide, so now I'll illustrate how a partner we've worked with has been able to take advantage of those services to build out their own Microsoft Teams Business Voice proposition. The partner approached us looking for someone who could help to deliver the vision they had for a Microsoft Teams proposition. The partner had no internal Microsoft Teams skills or knowledge, but they had a clear idea of what they wanted to offer. Partner wanted to offer 3 proposition packages that could be charged on a per user monthly basis with options for 12, 24 and 36-month contract terms. The 3 proposition packages started with a base package to include Microsoft 365 license with a business voice license for calling. They wanted to include deployment of the business voice solution and a basic user support package. Second proposition built on the base offering to include either a handset or headset, and the third proposition built upon that to further include other services that the partner could provide, such as connectivity. The challenge the partner had was that they wanted a single partner to deal with for all solution elements, so they could keep the operational delivery of the vision simple as possible for not only themselves, but also for the customer and their experience. They needed a flexible partner who could provide not only services and hardware, but also have the flexibility around costs to fit in with their low monthly recurring customer charges. They also wanted someone who they could trust with experience, who could advise them on other solution elements that could be offered as an add-on to the base services. So as a solution, Comscare and Ingram were able to work with the partner to provide the services and support to build out the proposition that they wanted to take to the customers. We provided price per user deployment, user support, and poly handset or headset options, either amortized over the length of the contract or using Ingram Finance to split the individual solution element slots into monthly payments that fit in with the partner proposition offers. As well as fulfilling the customer propositions, we were able to bring a range of associated services to the partner portfolio, allowing them to add additional services and revenues. The partner utilized the full range of Comscare and Ingram services to include all the available training, meeting room, deployment and solutions, support, and full managed services options alongside the flexible payment with Ingram to bring their full partner offer into life. In summary, Comscare have the capability to provide a full end-to-end team solution, regardless of the complexity or the requirement. The individual solution elements that we've covered throughout the slides are building blocks that a partner can use to either fill in gaps in their own portfolio or to build out a complete portfolio just using Comscare services. Partners can use as little or as much as they want, and we're happy to work with the partner while they skill up alongside us. Whether it's as little as layering 24/7 support into a current offering or utilizing every service to build a full proposition, we can help you with whatever your need is. Thank you very much for your time today. I'll be available in the following Q&A session to answer any solution or service queries that anyone's got.
So hi everyone, thanks for listening. Hope that's been useful to you all. We're just going through now and answering some of the questions that as they've come in the chat. And we're seeing some sort of common questions that I've seen a lot really as I've been working with our reseller community on Business Voice over the last year or so. Just queries around, why is it that Business Voice is only available in 3 countries when the without calling plan license is available in more? And really that comes down to the fact that the calling plan license at the £12 RRP with the 1200 minutes included means that you're using Microsoft as your telco. There's no other phone provider anywhere in that mix. It's all Microsoft. So they've got those allowances in place for UK, US and Canada. But when it comes to the license without calling plan attached, all that license is really doing for you is switching on the PBX functionality in Teams. So it's giving you that dial pad and it's letting you ring any phone number, but actually then the calls need to go out through a third-party phone provider. And because there's, Microsoft aren't the ones making those agreements then. It's up to your end user to decide who their third-party carrier is going to be in their chosen country. So there's less limitation, and that's why it's open to more countries and more regions, I guess, because you're not relying on Microsoft at the back end for the telephony piece. You're choosing a carrier in country. Some of the others, there's questions around like international calling plans, etc., and those are available as add-ons. And I think what we will do I'll ask Emma in marketing, when we share out all the information related to this webinar today, obviously you'll get a copy of the slides, etc. I think what we should share is the link to the MS partner site for Business Voice. It's an absolute wealth of information on there. The pitch deck that I've presented today is available for you to download and to customize with your own logos and contact info, and to play about with which slides you're going to use, etc. And there's a load more resource on there as well. There's loads of go-to-market stuff, flyers and emails ready to brand up and send out, just a training session in a box. There's a real wealth of resource and information for you on there. So I'll make sure that that's shared too, and then that'll answer an awful lot of the questions that are coming up today as well. I think there's some questions around what do you do if we've got more than 300 seats? Well, then you can use the enterprise voice that's been around for some time. There's some different conditions around that. But what I would say is, in these early days, when you're just sort of dipping your toe into this, definitely contact your Ingram account manager and seek the support. Because as Kev's just told us, we've got a breadth of services around this. So if you don't have the capacity in-house at the moment to deliver the voice services, then that's something that you can absolutely engage with us on. But if you just need pointing in the right direction, and then you'll go and get on with it yourselves in the same way, just reach out to your account manager and we can help you with all that. And then don't forget the device bars as well. That's a big part of it for our end customers in this migration into the Teams world, knowing which of the hundreds of thousands of endpoints they should be choosing. So they're always popular when we get on these web demos. And something else we'll share with you is a link to our website where you can actually go on and view a calendar, and you can book a session with one of our pre-sales consultants. You can do your virtual demo of most of the endpoints that we've got on the books today.
Yeah, just to back up what Joyce said, as was mentioned on the slides, we do have a pre-sales department that can help you out with a lot of these requests. So if you do need that assistance, reach out and let us know and we can help.
Exactly. And I think, as more and more end users are looking towards Business Voice, we're certainly getting more of the situations where it's not necessarily straightforward, like 50 users in the UK, 20 in France, 10 in Germany, a couple in Spain. Then you're like, oh, where am I going with these calling plans? How am I doing this? And we can do that whole consultation piece with you and your end customer and recommend the appropriate solution. And if that includes SBCs and direct routing, then as I say, we've got the capability to assist you with that. So I think we've got almost all of the questions answered now today. If there are any outstanding, then we'll make sure that they are answered even after we've closed the call, and you'll be contacted by our marketing team on the back of this. But hope it's been useful for everybody. Anything to add, Matt, Kev?
No, thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, as Joyce said, just reach out. We're more than happy to help.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for attending.